Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Very warm welcome here from the NMAC offices in Munich. Thanks for joining us on another episode of our Digital Traders. Wonderful. Now the music is over. We can start. Very warm welcome again from Munich here from the NMAC offices. And it's great to see you back joining here our new episode of the Digital Traders Summit. Today, we want to look or have a closer look at the Italian market. The Italian market is very much raising an interest as it has huge potential for renewables. It becomes more and more of a trend country as well for gas. And that's why we want to have a closer look. As NMAC, we just started to become active in Italy. That's why we invited a guest who has a very strong presence already in the market, someone from European Energy Exchange. It's Maurizio Meppelli joining us. He's leading the sales of Southern Europe for EEX and is a really good expert on the market. He will introduce himself and share a presentation with us, and then you're all welcome to join us with questions in the Q&A session to have an intensive dialogue around what's going on in the Italian market. Enough of an introduction for myself. I hand over to Maurizio. Thanks for joining us. Great to have you.
Many thanks for the introduction, Jens. Let me share my screen. Let's see if I'm able to do it. Okay. Good. Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining today's webinar. Thank you, of course, to the friends of NMAC for inviting me. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Maurizio Meppelli, and I'm the head of sales of Southern Europe at EEX, covering the area from Spain to Greece. Today, I've been requested to give you an idea on the developments, the past developments, and the potential expectation for the next months for the Italian energy, gas, and power markets. During the discussion, I will recap what happened in terms of volumes and liquidity, so that we can have then we can then identify some expectation, as I said. Let's start with the first picture of what EEX is. EEX, European Energy Exchange, is the leading energy exchange, building up secure, successful, and sustainable commodity markets. Here you can see a list of the markets, the services offered by the EEX and ECC. ECC, the European Commodity Clearing, is the clearing house of the EEX group. As I said before, I've been requested to focus my attention today on the natural gas and power derivatives market. Just for you to know, EEX covers also through the affiliated company EPEX Spot, the power spot market, but also offer to our customer the possibility to trade on the agriculture market, the environmental market, and the global commodities. On top of that, we offer also some market data services and strategy services. And of course, the clearing services are offered by ECC. Last but not least, of course, because probably ECC is the key factor of our success in Europe and not only. So let's start with the power derivatives market. And before, let me give you just an idea on the markets in the countries where we are already present. Here you can see some European countries already by red. Those are the European countries where EX is already there. We are doing it together with our partner PXE, so the Prague-based exchange, which is responsible of offering managing offering and managing our offer in the Eastern European markets. On top of that, we launched some years ago a new product, the Japanese power market. Of course, the idea to approach this market was and is because of the huge expectation we have on this, again, very big market. Let's have a quick look on the maturities we are offering on our power markets. My idea, of course, is not to go into the details of each of the maturities we are offering for each of our markets. But just to give you an idea on the fact that we are offering base load and peak load products from days to calendars. Maybe two things we can highlight today is that in the current year, I can already anticipate to you that we have already planned to launch 2 new batches of new products in order to complete our offer in our existing markets already. And the second point is just to focus your attention on the German, the Spanish, and the Italian market, where we are already offering not only 6 calendars, but till 10 calendars. That was an idea we had some years ago in order to our customers. Of course, replying to their request to be supported on the development of the so-called long-term agreements or PPAs. I have to admit that unfortunately, probably our timing was not the best one, since we launched those products just before the start of the pandemic. So we are not registering nowadays the results we had in our mind. Another thing, by the way, that I can highlight to you is that in any case, we registered almost 20 terawatt hours of long-term agreement edged on the Spanish power market at EX. Of course, the Spanish power market, which is, let's say, the more renewable market in Europe. And to start with the first driver, which could give us an idea on what was and what could be, let's start with the market shares. Here I reported the market shares we are registering in our 4 main power markets. So Italy, Germany, France, and Spain. The first thing you can see is that, looking at the red line, is that Italy, the Italian power market, was the first one achieving very good level of coverage. You can see that in the past we were able to even be above the 90%. Nowadays we are settling in a range between 75 and 80%. And which is what the other 3 markets did. So they followed the path already done by the Italian power market, and they reached more or less the same level nowadays. So that all the 4 markets are now in the same range of 75–85%. The very good news I can share with you today is that just yesterday I have been informed that about the market shares of the market we registered in the last month of January. And as said, the very good news is that the Spanish power market reached the level of 91%. Of course, this is something which confirms the level of trustworthiness recognized by our customers to EX. Here instead, I recapped the volumes we registered last year and compared them the year before. It's evident that during the year of characterized by the Russian-Ukrainian crisis, we lost a huge amount of volumes, so minus 27% year on year, specifically in the German power market, which is our benchmark for power. I have to highlight to you that, for example, in Italy, we lost, let's say, only 18%. While, for example, the Spanish power market was the one more affected by the crisis, the same, with that minus 52%, which is probably caused by the fact that on top of the decision taken by the governments at European level, we had some decision taken by the Spanish local government, which further affected the stability and the liquidity of the market the same. Some positive signals for the last year are represented by the Dutch power market and the Swiss power market, where we registered an increase of plus 74 and plus 63% respectively. Now, looking into further details, the Italian power market, here I reported 4 pies. The first 2 pies you can see in the upper part of the slide represent the Italian power market in general. So you can see that the overall Italian market registered a reduction of about 50 terawatt hours. The market share of EX year on year reduced from 88 to 82%, while at the same time this reduction was benefited by the brokers, by the uncleared market, which grew from 8 to 14%. Looking at specifically at the EX Italian power market, we can say that though we saw a reduction in our volumes, the ratio order book trade registration basically didn't see any reduction, so remained more or less at the level before the crisis, the same, which is only valid for the Italian power market. We'll see later that, for example, the German power market behaved a bit differently. Then here I reported the trends for the volumes and the open interest. So those are, of course, the 2 other drivers we need to take into consideration when analyzing the development and the potential expectation for the Italian power in general. You can see that, for example, that the trend was growing in 2021, and then saw a strong reduction in 2022. It is true till the month of November, more or less, when probably the market realized that we were trying to, let's say, to stop the crisis, more or less, and positively reacted. So from November, I can tell you that our volumes restarted to grow. The same trend, the same path was registered during the last month of January. For example, for the Italian power market, we registered a year-on-year growth of plus 9%. The trend for the open interest was more or less similar, very well aligned with the trend of the volumes, the same. Again, you can see, for example, that the very last part of the graphs represented by the red bars registers an increase. Just to give you an idea about the Italian volumes, I can tell you that in 2020 we registered about 550 terawatt hours. In the year 2021, we had about 400 terawatt hours, and last year we had only about 300 terawatt hours. So the reduction was, I have to admit, rather impressive. Another driver we have to consider is the bid spread. Here I represented the bid spread for the maturities weeks front month base load, front quarter, and front year base load. Starting from the week, so we can say that the trend is characterized by up and downs, which are a direct consequences of the instability, the volatility which was in the market last year. While if you look at the same trends for the months, the quarter, and the year, you can see that the trend was, of course, increasing because our beta spread widen and widen. Again, till the month of October, November, when they restarted to decrease, to be tighter and tighter. The same trend is characterizing the new year. Also, thanks to the fact that 4 market makers are supporting us in the development of our activity, our presence in Italy, and not only. So thanks also to those market makers, we can say that the spreads are going down and down, and this is a good sign, is a very good sign of how our market are personal feeling going back to their standard level. Though it's difficult to define what is the new normal after the 2 years of pandemic and the last year characterized by the Russian-Ukrainian crisis. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a comparison between, as I anticipated before, between the Italian and the German power market. Though both the markets saw a decrease in terms of volumes, which was most impressive for the German power market, for example, than for the Italian power market. As a matter of fact, if you look at the upper part of the slide, you see again the market structure of the overall market in the 2 years, 2021 and 2022. In the lower part of the slide, sorry, another point I forget to mention to you is that our market share in the German power increased impressively from 51 to 71%. So the strange thing is that while the market was registering reduced volumes, at the same time we improved a lot our presence in the market the same. If we look at the graph reported in the central part of the slide, again, I already showed you before the graphs for the Italian power. If you compare them with the same graphs, the same pies for the German power market, again, you can see that we registered, as I said before, a decrease of minus 27% for the German power market, and at the same time, our distribution between order book and trade registration more or less remain the same. Again, with a small advantage, a small benefit given to the uncleared broker. So again, in the very last part of the slide, I reported, just for you to know, the volumes registered in the 2 markets in the last 3 years. You can see that the reduction are more or less in line in percentage level. Of course, the things are different if we look and analyze them from the absolute point of view. Then let's do the same homeworks for the gas derivatives market. Starting again from the EX coverage in the European power market. I have to apologize because I realized a few minutes before the presentation that the German gas hubs are still represented as NCG and gas pool, while of course now they are merged in the THE. I will make a reference to a THE in all the other slides. Anyway, the picture is here just to give you, as I did for the power markets, an idea on where we are, where EX is already present. And to highlight to you that for all the markets here represented, we are offering both the possibility to our traders, both to approach and to trade on the spot and on the derivatives market, with only one exception. Unfortunately, that exception is represented by the Italian gas, the PSV, and the reason is that EX, as all the other so-called third exchanges are not allowed to access the spot market by law. Again, as we did before, let's have a look at the volumes. The very good thing for us is that while we saw a reduction in terms of volumes for the power markets, we registered a huge increase, a huge improvement for our gas products. Overall, in Europe, we had an increase of plus 164%. But it's more impressive if you look at the growth we registered in the German THE and in the French PEG futures market. Here, what I can tell you is that, for example, in the PSB, the Italian PSB, our growth was of only, let's say, plus 46%, and we achieved a level of volume around of about 28 terawatt hours. What we can take from this slide? The fact that there is further room to grow in Italy, and the fact that what is happening in the last 50 days, so in January and February 2023, seems to follow the same path we already registered last year. So we are still increasing, and particularly for, I have to admit, I'm happy to tell you, on the Italian PSB hub, there we are registering an increase of almost 100% year on year. Let's go ahead with the analysis of our volumes and market shares. Again, though the bars are telling that we registered a lot of up and downs, if you look at the trend from December 2020 to December 2022, it's evident that the trend is growing. And at the same time is slowly growing also our market share. We achieved a level of about 4% in December 2022. I already mentioned to you that the volumes we had in the last year at the PSV were about 28 terawatt hours. Again, in 2022, we had 21% of our volumes traded directly in our EX order book against 44% in 2021. I am considering it from the, let's say, positive side. This means that we improved a lot our partnership with all the other brokers. Since, I mean, the experiences I got from the power side is that we have to consider the brokers as partners rather than as competitors. This gave us a lot of feedbacks, positive results in the last years for the power markets, and I'm convinced that in the gas market will happen exactly the same. Again, a comparison between PSV, THE, and TTF. Of course, I mentioned here the two biggest European gas markets. Interesting to notice that, for example, in the THE market, we registered the highest growth in the last 3 years, if compared in percentage, of course, if compared to all the other markets. This is also thanks to the fact that a lot of new players approach the new THE market. A lot of also the TSO is active there for balancing reasons. So that's a very, very good signals from my point of view. The same is true for the TTF, while again, I have to admit that the positive feedbacks, the positive trends we are registering are telling us that we can still push on growing and growing and growing. Just to give you an idea, the THE volumes were up 572% year on year, with a market share which achieved the level of 40%, while the TTF volumes were up about 100% year on year, with a market share which is in the range of 5-6%. Another personal feeling I have is that we can do even better, and the reason why I can tell this is that after the fact that all the drivers are saying that we are, let's say, coming back to the very good old life in terms of volumes and the trading and liquidity. We did a lot of improvements in terms of initial margin and in general margins calculation, thanks to the proactive approach of our ACC colleagues. So let's approach the last part of the presentation on the margins. First of all, I like and I need to give you a couple of definitions. Simply, let me spend only 2 minutes on the definition on initial margin and variation margin, which are the main contributors on the calculation of the daily margins. First of all, the span initial margin is calibrated to cover potential losses during a liquidation period of at least 2 days, with a confidence level of 99% and the look-back period of 1 year. So in a nutshell, it calculates potential changes in the value of a trading member's portfolio over a time horizon that is needed to liquidate the portfolio the same. The second part is represented by the variation margin. We can call it also mark-to-market, which because, I mean, you will see in the definition that it's more or less the same. So the variation margin is the output of the daily settlement of profits and losses in order to avoid the accumulation of large losses over the time. I need to mention a third definition, which is the one referred to cross-margining, also called intercommodity margin credit. The cross margin is calculated for any combination of opposite positions for different products according to the correlation between the two products the same and on different levels of nettings. So this improves the collateral efficiency and increases the economies of scale in diversified portfolio. But of course, we need to approach the discussion on the margins and on the initial margins, considering that we are now in the times of market correction mechanism. I will give you later in the next slide some further definition on what is the market correction mechanism and how it works. Just let me spend 1 minute here on some feedbacks, on some, let's say, comments I collected from ESMA and the European Central Bank on the idea to start to launch that market correction mechanism. Both the statements from ESMA in January 2023 and from ECB of December 2022, let's say, are focusing their attention on the fact that the ESMA could, the MCM could cause a potential increase in margin calls because the trading in TTF products could move their way from the regulated markets and the CCPs to uncleared bilateral trading, which of course could have, I would say, evident not positive consequences on liquidity, transparency, and stability of the markets the same. But let's see how the MCM works. First of all, I need to give you some definition to define the first limit, so the TTF settlement price of the TTF front month published by Index and set at 180 euro megawatt hour. The second threshold is given by the differential between the mentioned TTF price and the global LNG price calculated on a daily basis by Acer, which is set at 35 euro megawatt hour. So if for 3 working days, the front month TTF exceeds the level of 180 euro and is 35 euro megawatt hour higher than the global LNG price, then the MCM is activated and sets a cap to the TTF price at 180 euro megawatt hour. But be careful, this is true only for regulated market, because OTC, MTF, and the so-called OTF trading is out of scope. I have to add that also the trade registration is out of scope. This is a news we got in the very last days. But I would like to focus the attention on the fact that the settlement prices are unaffected. This means that the settlement prices procedure of EX will continue to work as it worked in the past. So why? Because the settlement prices procedure has always considered not only trading activity on the regulated market, but also fair values provided by market participants and data from sources outside EX. This means that the settlement prices will continue to reflect the proper fair market value, irrespective of whether an NCM event occurs. So simply, EX will continue to apply the same mechanism. This means that there could be a kind of misalignment between what is in the market and what is the settlement price the same. For any kind of further information, clarification, doubts, I kindly ask you to refer to our website, to www.ex.com, where we created a section called Current Market Condition, and where you can find some documents explicative on the MCM, and specifically a Q&A documents which could help you in clarifying your doubts. Last slide, and I'm trying to give with this last slide another positive signal. So we have already said that signals refer to the volumes, to trend of the open interest, bid spread are, let's say, making us more and more, are giving us more and more positive vibes. The last thing is on the initial margins. Here I reported the initial margins calculated for the German power baseload front calendar and the TTF front calendar. So the front calendar of the two benchmark markets for gas and power in Europe. You know that the initial margins are directly proportional to liquidity, sorry, to volatility and prices, and inversion, sorry, and the opposite for the bid spread. In the two graphs here reported, you can see that the initial margin had a huge increase till the month of September, October last year, when they strongly and suddenly changed directions. This is another proof of how the markets are behaving. Of course, another very good signal is that, for example, we realized that the calculation of the initial margin done by ECC is quickly responsive to the movements in terms of prices. So while we had strong increase while the prices were going up and up in the last year, now we are registering a strong reduction day by day. The very last thing I would like to mention to you today is that is about the fact that ECC is now paying out to our clearing members a 2.3% of interest on the cash collateral which is deposited at ECC the same. So another very good signal of how all the things could come back again to the, as I said before, the very good old times. That's all from my side. Many thanks for your attention and for the times you gave to me. I think that I need to pass the floor to Jens.
Maurizio, thanks a lot. Really great to see how this special year 2020 made its impact on the numbers, as we've seen it really impacted the markets quite differently, especially as well Italy. Would love to invite now really our participants to ask yeah, use your knowledge here to have a good discussion. So please, everyone who's in the call, you can use the chat functionality or the Q&A functionality you see on the bottom of your screen to kick it off. We had already some first questions here. Maybe on the margining side, the last graph, I'm starting now at the last slide of your presentation because we still have it in mind. It shows that basically we are back to normal in some way, while the calculation for this span formula goes back 1 year, and we all have these kind of very high volatility in mind of the last year. is it surprising that we can expect already the margining going down now so fast, or how will that look in the future?
As I said before, the two main drivers affected the initial margin calculations are the prices and the volatility. So in times when the prices and the volatility were increasing, strongly increasing, I would say, day by day, we had a very strong increase in terms of initial margin, with a lot of negative consequences, of course, for our customers. Nowadays, as I said, the situation is exactly the opposite. We are going down and down in terms of margins level. I have to admit that we have not yet achieved the pre-crisis level. I mean, here you can see that we are more or less at the level of February last year, more or less. But I expect that we will go back soon to the pre-crisis level. All the signals I can see in the market, that's of course a total personal feeling. The signals I can collect in the market from the market are saying that the traders would like to work in the very good old environment.
Absolutely. We're getting one question on the MCM, which you mentioned as well, the market correction mechanism introduced now. At the moment, I think the whole market is not affected really by it, and the clarifications still happen, as you said, broker register trade being not part of the mechanism. So I think going forward, although some of the southern countries, including Italy, pushed for this mechanism, I think are you confident that it's not coming to the Italian market itself, or what would be your view at the moment?
Honestly, I cannot tell you honestly, since I mean that's something which is not discussed, at least in my, or I would say even at our level. I have to admit that the traders are pretty calm nowadays, since of course the prices are far away from reaching the level of 180 as defined by the MCM. The same. I just let's say took note just before the presentation, just before the webinar, that for example for the Cal 24, the TTF. End of day we published yesterday was around the 57 euro megawatt hour. So 1/3, more or less 1/3, or even less than 1/3, what is set by the MCM, the same. So I would say that for the time being, all the traders and every one of us are pretty calm, and I hope that this will be the case. Whether the European governments will decide to apply an MCM also for the Italian, but also the other European gas hubs, I cannot tell you honestly.
Very good. What you have shown as well, one chart where you have shown the, let's say, maturity mix of the products traded, and it was mostly, not surprisingly, the yearly contracts going far in the future who dropped significantly in terms of volume. On this way back to normal, do you expect this hedging behavior in the, let's say, for the next 2-3 years will come back, or do you see there any signs of
there are some rumors. There are already some rumors. Let's say I'm getting from my Spanish colleagues. They already been approached by some of our customers already active in the Spanish market, requesting for information clarification on the so-called PPAs. That's something I honestly expect also for the other markets. It's soon to say whether it will be the case for the Italian power market, but I expect that sooner or later we will have some volumes referred to hedging of those long-term positions.
All right, yeah. PPAs is a good keyword. I mean, there's big expectations, I think, from all Europe that Italy as a market picks up and has a huge potential there of solar mostly going forward. Do you see there any new joiners as well on the market already, or other signals in this direction that it's picking up now?
if let's say you mean as new joiners, new customers,
investors,
really, I have to admit, still the same more or less. What it's true is that we have very good expectation, very big expectation on the PPAs, on the long-term maturities, since, as I said before, when we decided to launch, we acted in reply to requests coming from the market, the same from our main customers. It's also true that having to do with PPAs or long-term maturities means also having, let's say, good financial availabilities. If you can accept this definition. Anyway, the idea is that, I mean, if the Spanish market, which is, it seems, the benchmark for these PPA products, is reacting, is restarting, I expect that sooner or later we will have the same behavior also in Italy and in Germany, which are the markets where these long-term maturities are already available. And we were already thinking about to enlarge the scope of the PPAs to our market, like, for example, the fourth, one of the four main markets I mentioned before, so the French market.
Yes, no, I think it's a very good initiative, which probably takes some time, but as well on European level right now, I mean, there's a lot of regulatory discussion or policy discussion around should we favor more as policymakers PPAs versus the forward future market, derivatives market. I think it's important to show that both is possible and that there is a connection. At the moment, it's very much discussed as either or. Yeah? So I think there are many policymakers pushing just for PPAs in terms of in the bilateral sense. No.
Let me add that what happened in the last 3 years almost told us that I mean, we cannot be surprised anymore. I mean, anything could happen. We should simply be ready to manage the things. And again, what happened especially in the last year said us that in my opinion, the power and the gas structure of the markets in Europe is sorry for repeating myself, well structured to cope with those kind of issues.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and then I think that's what we strengthened as well, or mentioned several times on the gas side. Maybe jumping to this gas market more or less, the long-term drivers there could be as well. Italy be more and more of a transit country, getting, let's say, more gas from south and southeastern countries and helping to fuel gas to Europe. What are your expectations there? You have there a certain outlook how this can drive volumes or create additional interest?
Why not? I mean, I have to admit that, especially in Italy, the gas market is still driven or dominated by the brokers. If you refer to the market shares I showed you before, EX, like the hour exchanges, are still, let's say, registering rather low market share. They are increasing. This means that there are rooms for improving. So why not? But in that case, I would expect that the first markets to recast or where to have long-term maturity in place will be TTF and THE maybe, and maybe not PSV, at least in the first stage.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned several times that there is a kind of mix of serving the market between exchanges and OTC venues, brokers, etc. So next to it, so especially in the crisis we have seen when liquidity drops, it's probably helpful to still have a system of brokers, or to mention NMAC as well, in place, who's able to bring counterparties together while still relying on a clearing mechanism provided by EX. I think this is what the crisis has been proving, that it's so, that's a healthy system how it operates today. While clearly I see you're interested in moving more volumes in the long term again to the exchange, but it's part of the resilience, I would say, of the current market ecosystem.
it's helpful to have both. I would say. I mean, it's helpful to have agreements in place with the exchanges, but also IFETs and ISDAs agreements in place with the counterparties. For example, you reminded me a thing which happened years ago when together with my colleague at that times, in those times we were, let's say, working in developing the Italian power market when we started to work on the Italian power market, and we refer to 8 years ago. During that period, it was easy. It was rather frequent for us to get in touch with medium, small-sized customer looking for, requesting us to be in touch, requesting us to be admitted to EX. Before, at that time, the critical resources was the credit lines, and EX represented a good alternative to what it was, let's say, impossible for them to achieve. Nowadays, the pandemic, the crisis, told us that a trader, a player of the market, has to be ready and already well fitted for anything which could happen in the market the same.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned creditworthiness overall. I have to admit, I'm quite far away at the moment from the Italian market. I've seen in detail, let's say, how it impacted our German market participants, partially in Eastern Europe and the West as well. So we have seen there quite some critical cases, I have to admit. I think overall it never rippled through the market, but some customers had these cash problems due to, let's say, sometimes impacted by likes of hedging, but as well by the margin calls. Can you give us a picture of how this affected the Italian participants and what you have seen there? And is it still kind of an active prevailing risk?
I can admit that I was really positively impressed by the fact that, surprised by the fact that the Italian market was not so affected by huge problems, financial problems. I mean, of course, there were some traders, some players which had to have a step down. But anyway, if you consider that the Italian players are in average small, medium-sized, especially if you compare them with the average of the players, of the size of the players in the other big European markets, this is again a very good signal. I was very, very positively surprised by this.
Yeah, I mean, many of the demand side players are now affected very much that the prices are dropping. Yeah, so for them, the margin may become now a problem as they are more on the buy side. Are you saying is this already over, this kind of risk, or is this still impacting negatively some participants now?
I can't tell you honestly, since I mean that's a question you probably should discuss. That's a topic you should discuss with directly with the customers, with the counterparties. The same. For the time being, I cannot see a huge impact on the X in general. I mean, of course, we worked a lot in the last year to be ready for any kind of event. We are putting in place every year default tests, trying to simulate the default of the bigger clearing members, and every time those stress tests are saying us that we should be ready. And we are ready for any kind of disruptive event.
Very good, very good. I want to pick up one question and at the same time say we have more time for more questions. So please, everyone of the participants, feel free to really post quickly your question here, and let me pick it up to handle it over to Maurizio. We get one question. The liquidity of markets is very often benefiting not just from the participants adapting again to the market, let's say, environment overall and the hedging needs, but it's as well it's about attracting new participants to the Italian market. Can you tell us there something? Do you see new participants joining? Meaning,
you mean Italian players or in general?
Both. It's an open question. Exactly.
I have to admit, but if we are speaking about the Italian players, I cannot see an impressive increase in terms of Italian members or Italian prospects to join the EX in the next future, simply because my opinion is that more or less we already have all the customers which should be potential members of the EX. On the other side, what I'm seeing is that while I would say all the members of the EX are already admitted to the Italian power markets, I am registering an increasing interest in the Italian PSV market. Probably it's a direct consequence of what's happening in terms of new supplies, new routes. Let's say trying to supply the European gas market in new different ways.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, maybe adding on that, what we do see, let's say in our markets very much, is that there is a new interest or renewed interest as well by large corporates joining the wholesale market themselves. So building up more capabilities after having this experience of the last 1-2 years of being so dependent on the price fluctuations, and sometimes as well the security of let's say supply seem to be at risk. Can you see this as well, specifically interest from large corporates? Or
I can see let's say big fishes starting working on the Italian gas market. Yes. Since in the past, what I was trying to better understand, since you know that, you can understand that being the southern Europe based in Milan and Madrid, we are more or less also responsible of the development of the Italian power and gas, and not only Italian power gas markets. In that case, I would say that yes. I was trying in the past, in the last year, to better understand if and how we could improve the number of the players or the quality of the players already admitted to the Italian gas markets. I have to admit that in the very last months, the most active players are no more the so-called Maurizio Mappelli trading companies, but as I said, medium, big size players.
Interesting. Very good. We have slowly to come to an end. So maybe the most difficult question to an end. A little bit. Do you have any predictions to share or expectations for 23 for the Italian market?
I don't have the crystal ball, of course. I'm just let's say basing my feeling of what I can see, and I've analyzed. All the drivers are saying that we can only improve. We saw and survived to very, very bad times. We proved both, we as exchange and the players, the brokers and the players in general, that we were able to survive and to trade, not only to survive, to live during those times. So again, I can see only improvements for the next future. Fingers crossed.
Wonderful.
Of course.
Exactly. Let's end with this kind of positive note. We see it as well. Really excited about the Italian market. So interesting to see, and we will touch base again and get back to you in discussions and look back on how things have evolved. For us, I just want to mention everyone in the call who wants to learn more about EX's services there, maybe directly reaching out to you, as well to our NMAC team. We are happy to win customers at the moment. Yeah, every week we're winning new Italian members, which I'm really happy to see that we are growing south of the Alps. So really encouraging everyone as well in the call, reach out to our team if you have some questions how we can support you. Maurizio, big pleasure. Thanks a lot for an hour, which was very fast passing. So great to get all this information from you. And yeah, wish you all a good 23 in Italy. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Thanks to you, and thanks to all the attendees of the webinar today.
Great. Bye-bye.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.